What's going on, you guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital, and welcome to the video. In this video, we had the pleasure of interviewing Rana Vig, who is the CEO of Blue Lagoon Resources. Blue Lagoon Resources is a mineral exploration company focused on a high-grade gold project, which is the past-producing Dome Mountain Mine. Rana Vig is going to talk all about the company to you guys. He's going to introduce it, talk about all their exciting new projects. So we'll get into this interview. We'll get straight into it with Rana, and that's it for the introduction. Always remember though, if you do support me in the channel and all the videos, and don't forget to, of course, explode that like button along with if you are a new viewer to the channel. You haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, but you appreciate constant steady updates on the markets and an exciting flow of new and exciting companies just like Blue Lagoon Resources. Then of course, don't forget to catch that subscribe button and hit the market bell for notifications. Now let's get straight into this awesome interview. What's going on, guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital. We're here with Rana Vig, CEO of Blue Lagoon Resources. How are you doing today, Rana?
I'm doing great, Aaron. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you here. So, for our viewers who might be interested in your background, let's talk a little bit about your background and how you got started before Blue Lagoon Resources.
Sure. Most of my background is in private enterprise. 35 years of family businesses. I got involved in the capital markets about 10 years ago. A venture capitalist worth $300 million plus, a very serious guy, invited me to get involved. And I said, well, hey, it was 2008, 2009. Times are pretty dismal back then. And I thought I could use a change. So I did. I jumped into mining because that's where he made most of his money. And it was unbelievable. You wouldn't believe it. I put over $1 million in 2011, and about 6-8 months later, it was worth about 10 grand. I was like, holy smokes, what did I just get myself into? I mean, this is crazy. This is not the way it's supposed to happen. But of course, mining collapsed, right? The whole industry collapsed. So anyways, I'm a big boy and no point crying about it. So lick the wounds and get up and took over a couple of those mining companies, took them over and got to work. Made a bunch of connections, and over the years, everybody kept saying, "Hey, what? Just one more year, money's coming back. It's coming back, right?" It never quite happened until now. It's starting to turn. And then 2018, I saw that cannabis was really hot, and I thought, man, we gotta get involved in this industry. Brand new ground floor, opportunity. So I did. I laser beam focused on that, and I found a company out of the States called Cureleaf, and I took them public. And Cureleaf was the largest Canadian IPO in history. It was a $520 million raise. It was a $6 billion market cap company. In fact, I don't know if you or your audience follows that industry, but Cureleaf is on track to be certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cannabis company in the world. They have a huge footprint in the United States. And then a couple months later, I was invited to the party again. Somebody said, "Hey, we heard good things about you. How about help us out?" So I took over this company called Rockbridge Resources, and I got laser being focused again. And I found a company called Harvest Health and Recreation out of Arizona. And Harvest was the third largest IPO of 2018 at $300 million and a $2 billion an RTO. So had a lot of fun, doing that. So that's a bit about my background. And then Blue Lagoon said, well, cannabis to mining. Well, mining is where I started, right? And everything I was reading in the big picture around the world was telling me that, gold, man, is where it's at. All this stuff that's happening. I got to get back into mining here. So I started Blue Lagoon Resources about a little over a year ago. And my focus is now strictly on this mining company and this goal specifically to make this hopefully my next big win.
That's very exciting. And your background is very similar to mine, almost down to the year. So I'm sure our viewers will appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about gold now. So the Federal Reserve recently made some very serious announcements, as you know, talking about inflation. Now, gold's already at all-time highs. What do you think's next for the metal?
Well, look, I think it's got nowhere but up to go, right? I mean, if you look at what's happening around the world, I mean, these are truly unprecedented times, right? I mean, look what's happening around the world. Money is being printed at an unprecedented rate. In 2008, 2009, when this economic easing started, we thought, holy smokes, they were just printing hundreds of millions of dollars. I think it was about 850 billion. That was new money supply that was created in order to create that economic easing. And now we're talking in the trillions. right? And so you've got this huge, massive money being printed, not just in the United States and Canada, but all over the world. And you've got on top of that, you've got this complete unrest around the world, right, with all these demonstrations and riots, that are going on, and then add to the mix COVID. Right? I mean, who could have predicted that? So, there's never been this much chaos in the history of the world. And that's the environment that gold loves, right? And that's why we're seeing this spike. And I think the party's just beginning, to be honest with you. I think this is going to go a lot higher yet.
No, I totally agree. I've always been a long-term gold and silver bull, and I want to get your opinion now, if that's all right, on negative rates. So, a lot of people are just realizing this, and baby boomers are just about to retire. How's this going to affect gold?
Well, again, same thing. I mean, look, when I was growing up, we were used to, 9, 10, 11% interest rates, right? Now we're talking about zero, right? I mean, it's just insane. I mean, and they're here to stay, right? And why is that? Well, governments can't afford to service their debt. Right. So what are they going to do? So they artificially keep pushing these rates down and keeping them down, and they try to fool people. Look, it's not that complicated. People sometimes get confused about that economic policy is confusing. Break it down to your own household, right? When I was growing up, my dad's a civil engineer. He's retired now. In those days, he was making about $45,000 a year. All right. Today, a civil engineer similar to that makes about $85,000 a year. But you know what? The first house we bought was $45,000. The same house today in Vancouver is almost $1.5 million. So look at the ratio of what the income was and what the house price at that time was and what the income now is, which is only marginally increased, but the house prices has gone where? Same thing as with food or coffee or alcohol or whatever you go, right? I mean, if you go out there, everything has increased. So they have to keep pushing these things down and keeping them low. And what that means, is that the things like gold and silver and the precious metals are the only ones that have real value, and the only way to really preserve, one's assets.
Exactly. So, let's talk a little bit about silver now. Silver had one of the best 6 months in a while. It had a crazy 6-month move. Do you think it's possible to see new nominal all-time highs for the metal? I mean, I personally think so. We saw it with gold, but what's your opinion on silver?
Absolutely, and again, you turn to what's happening around the markets. If you look at the most, every major institution or big investors have to file what's called the 13F on the SEC, and if you look at the most recent the filings, you'll see that major players, right, Morgan Stanley, UBS, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. The list just goes on and on. All these people have now invested in silver for the first time, right? And again, of course, it's about supply and demand, right? So more and more as these institutions pour in to silver, the higher that's going to push the price.
Exactly. So now let's talk about your company, Blue Lagoon Resources. Maybe we can get a little bit of information about it first before we start talking about your projects.
Sure. As I said earlier, I started Blue Lagoon Resources about a year ago, just a little over a year ago. We've got a great project up in northern British Columbia, so a very safe jurisdiction. It's a permitted gold mine, so we're just working on. There's 3 key amendments that we need to do in order to get it back into production. So we're just working on that process right now, and we've got we got like 15 very high grade veins that we're going after. So basically, the way this works is you have your team, right? Look at the geology, right? Look at what's happening there, and they have they have a methodology to figure out, we think this is where the gold is, or this is where the silver is, and then you go drill it, right, to prove it. And so we've got these, we've got the mine already there that is permitted, that we hope to get into production here, in the next little while. And then we've got these very high grade veins sitting right outside of a nice little mining town of 20,000 people. And we can access this property all year round, drive to it in 45, 50 minutes, which is very unique, by the way. Most of these properties, are quite remote. So you got a helicopter in, or you got to put these expensive camps in. With our property, man, you can just drive to the site in 45, 50 minutes, work there all day, come home, have dinner, kiss your kids good night, and get back to it the next morning, right? So it's we're very, very excited about what we have.
That's wonderful. So let's talk about, your flagship asset, which is a near-term producer. From what I know, you were able to purchase it without spending any cash for about half of what the previous owners paid for it, and just another $1 million to spend on it before production. How'd you pull that off?
Well, timing, patience, and a lot of tough negotiations. When I was a kid growing up, we're from an immigrant family, right? So my dad, would go to Sears, right, and he would bargain to buy the shirt, and I'd be so embarrassed. I'd be like 13, 14 years old, and I'd be like, Dad, I'm kicking him, or say, don't bargain with the guy. This is Sears, man. It's like whatever the price is, what it is. But you know what? He always got the deal. He always got something off. And as a kid, you learn that you don't appreciate it at the time because you're embarrassed, but that experience doesn't leave you. So, I just did a lot of tough negotiations on the behalf of our shareholders. And obviously it worked. We got an amazing deal. And basically, when I got this, when I started talking to these guys about the project, gold was only at about 1450, and it hadn't quite taken off yet. So it was just a matter of timing, just a lot of patience, and just really, really tough negotiations.
Amazing story. So at Dome Mountain, you've got about 85,000 ounces of gold mineable under the current life of the mine. But is it true that only, a fraction has been explored?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a huge property, right? It's about 12,000 hectares. So this company was held by private individuals, and their focus was just mining, right? They just wanted to get in there, get the gold out, and start paying dividends to their shareholders, which is quite natural and normal for a private company. So they didn't explore at all. So yeah, there's like 90% of the property has not been explored. So we believe we have a lot more there. And, in this robust gold market, I mean, it's just like, it's going to be lights out, man. It's like, we're just excited to get out there and get those drills turning and see what Mother Nature, it's kind of like a chicken and egg, right? It's like an Easter hunt, right? Where did Mother Nature put the gold? We got to go out and find it now. We know it's there. We just got to go find it.
That's exciting. Tons of exploration potential. So in terms of raw numbers, what are the numbers for the 12 years of production at Dome Mountain, and how does it measure against your market cap?
It's right now, market cap is, sitting at around 42, 43 million. And, if you do the math, and maybe I won't do it, I'll let the audience do it, right? Or you do it, right? But I mean, because I don't make any projections here, but if you bottom line is this, right? We know we have, thousands of ounces of gold there, right? And if you look at what the price, what the price is at, and where the price potentially could be, it's not that difficult to figure out, hey, is this company going to be profitable or not? And look, it's not me just saying that where gold is or where potentially can be. When you got a lot smarter guys than me, like Warren Buffett, I don't know if you saw, but recently Warren Buffett jumped in. He was against gold. He was always talking about he doesn't like gold. Look at that. One of the greatest financial minds in the history of the world, right, just decided to put in hundreds of millions of dollars into gold. And from what I understand this is just the beginning. He's looking at a lot more. So, that tells us something, right? And the trend, right? And then, you've got, I mean, there's all sorts of people, right, that are getting. And then look at Bank of America, right? I don't know if you saw, but Bank of America just recently is projecting a $3,000 gold next year. So, when you got people with access to research, much more than we have, then you kind of are relatively safe, in my opinion, to follow those people, right?
Definitely. So let's talk about your other properties. What other properties does the company own, and what's the exit strategy with them?
We've got a couple other properties. The other one, main one that we're focusing on is a property called Pellier. It's just outside of Williams Lake in central British Columbia. That's also got a very nice high-grade vein system. But the best part, honestly, what I like about that is that there's about 25,000 tons of material sitting there that we can truck out. We can just truck it right out, and we don't need any permits, and get that to a mill and monetize that, right? So that's the exit, short-term exit strategy from there is to just, it's all about making sure we have enough money, right, in the treasury to execute and to do, execute the plan that we're talking about, right? And we did. We have that. We also raised recently closed a couple of weeks ago. We closed $7.5 million, right? So we're fully funded, right, and ready to rock and roll, man.
Awesome. So last but not least, does the company have any debt? And are there any shareholders that are big mining names?
Yeah, the company's got no debt. I was very careful in how I structured, the deal. Any long-term debt that we have is all tied into production. So they only get paid if when and if we actually produce. So there's no short-term debt at all. Large shareholders. It's interesting. You mentioned that. We're a very under the radar company. We just started. This is like only one of my second or third interviews. Like we're just starting to talk about the company because remember we just started last year in July. And the asset our main asset, Dome Mountain, we just closed that 4 months ago. So we're super under the radar, a real secret, if you like, that's about to get out. So you'll see a lot, I believe, of serious investors starting to take a look at us because I believe we're quite undervalued.
That's very exciting. So what's the best place or where should potential investors or people interested in the company go to get more information?
Best probably is to go to our website, www.bluelagoonresources.com. There's a email link there. They're welcome to email. It'll make its way eventually to me. I'm a very engaged CEO. I'd love to talk to investors, big or small. So I'm happy to. It might take me a day or two to get back, but I'm happy to always provide any information and anything that a potential investor or current investor requires.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Rana. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to more news about your exciting projects.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. Drop those comments below, and always remember Departures Capital is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. Don't buy or sell a stock because you heard it on here. Buy or sell a stock because you've done your research, you've done your thorough due diligence, and you're making your own personal investment decisions for yourself. This video is not financial advice. We'll see you guys in our next video.